The Blokebusters podcast is proud to be a member of the Pod Bros Network. You can find us, as well as other fantastic podcasts such as Pencil and Ink Review, Another Damn Trivia Show, and The Language of Bromance at podbros.com, as well as on most other fine podcasting services. Now sit back, relax, and prepare to share and enjoy the Blokebusters podcast.
Welcome to episode 87 of the Blokebusters podcast. I'm Brian.
And I'm Paul.
And today we have joining us pop culture curator, co-host of the absolutely brilliant podcast Talk Amongst Ourselves, and a fantastic friend of the pod, Miss Griffin.
Hey guys, great to be back.
Yeah, the I think like honorary Blokebuster status almost. Like you're fourth appearance, I believe.
Yes, actually. Yes, if you split the one episode in half, yes, definitely.
Well, Beyond, Star Trek Beyond, let's count them.
Oh, yeah, I think we did
Film Spotlight, Black Mirror.
And Black Mirror, yes.
So, if we count that as one, then yes, this is the fourth. If we count it as two, this is the fifth. So yeah, I think officially.
Either way, you're like four ahead of anyone else.
Wow, am I in like the Blokebusters Hall of Fame?
Yeah, I think so.
You're officially either recurring or returning, depending on
depending on how well this goes.
Yes.
Well, yeah. So today, of course, as the title of this episode may reflect, we are discussing Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Yes.
How did we get into this?
I would say do pardon puns that will definitely come up in this one, because L is just too easy.
Well, let's just grab it by the ears. And
first and foremost, let's just get all the pluggy stuff out of the way. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Blokebusters. You can email us blokebusterpodcast@gmail.com, and we have the website blokebusters.web.com, which should be up to date. Anyone that's been listening to these in order knows just how terrible I am at that. And may as well go straight to Colleen as well, since get it out of the way at the beginning. How can people get a hold of you or your podcast?
There are a few different ways. You can contact me directly on Twitter. I am at KELTOLEAN, Keltolean. And then you can also find me at TAO_podcast for my Talk Amongst Ourselves podcast. I am also on the wonderful Soiled Restroom Cinema at Signals of Fury. And you can find both of those podcasts on iTunes and Google Play, and Talk Amongst Ourselves is also on Stitcher.
Good for you guys. I think we're on there too, possibly. I haven't bothered checking.
It's hard to give an unbiased view, but I strongly recommend both podcasts, but definitely Talk Amongst Ourselves. Yeah. It is
I
fun,
need to get
times.
a hold of Honor at some point and ask him why it's Signals of Fury. Because
I actually have been thinking that more myself lately. I've never asked him that question. I am going on 2 years of being on the podcast. I've never asked him why Signals of Fury.
The website Signals of Fury, the Twitter Signals of Fury, and that is not the name of the podcast. So.
Yeah, but and guys,
gotta be a gamer tag.
And Talk Amongst Ourselves is basically a podcast primarily devoted to Saturday Night Live and recaps of the show, but we also do coverage of good TV, our favorite TV of all genres. We take suggestions, and we'll be doing a lot more of that this summer. And Soiled Restroom Cinema, our podcast covering the worst movies you've ever and never heard of.
Yes, definitely more recent ones, or more in the public eye recently.
Yeah, most recent episode I believe is Yoga Hosers.
At the moment, yes. Probably not when this episode.
Trust me, you will have much better time listening to the podcast than you will watching this particular movie.
Yeah, it's currently free on Netflix, but they really should pay you to watch it.
Exactly, it's not a fair exchange.
Yeah, they give you a month free.
No, you definitely should get your monthly payment off for that.
Yeah, speaking of free on Netflix, Who Framed Roger Rabbit is currently free on Netflix. I do not know by the time this airs if it will be taken off, because Netflix, as soon as you find something cool, it's gone. Bob's Burgers. What?
Yeah, I just managed that. I just got in at the end there. I managed to watch it all before it went.
Yeah, I knew there was a reason I bought the seasons early on Amazon. So, yeah. I still don't forgive you for that, Netflix. Did we need that much more money for like Laura Prepon on Orange is the New Black? No.
Nope.
Sorry, Taylor Schilling. I met her before. She's very nice. Well, I met her in New York City, actually. Yeah. I met her in Columbus.
Oh, well, I read it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, all right, so
Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Yes, the question of the day.
Yes. This actually came about because while recording the Celebrations Cinema episode about yoga hoses, I mentioned Who Framed Roger Rabbit for some reason. I still don't remember why.
I don't either.
I'm sure you were in a fever state from having talked about that awful film.
I genuinely cannot remember.
No one would fault you for anything.
But, yes, I mentioned it, and then Killian said, "Oh, I'd love to talk to you guys about that." And now we're talking about it, so
there's the magic, folks. That's how it happened.
That's how podcasting happens.
Yes.
What happened was,
Okay. Alright, so I guess the biggest question is, and probably something we really should have thought about before we hit record, is where do we start?
At the beginning.
Well, I think
Christopher Lloyd tangent. I can go either way. Go ahead, Kelly. What were you going to say?
Start out about like I think we should talk about what our first experiences were like when we saw it for the first time. Each of us. It came out, guys, in 1988.
Yeah. Meaning,
depending on the date, I was either 6 or 7. I think it was 7 because I don't imagine my mother would have been. Or like I still think like it's one of those things that you rewatch now and go, whoa.
There was a lot of woes.
My mom really trusted my judgment not to take the wrong message away from this.
Especially on VHS.
As did mine, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I remember seeing the making of, I believe maybe it was on the Disney Channel. I can't remember if it was on a major network or the Disney Channel. And I just thought it was awesome because it was combining like all my favorite cartoons into one movie. And I was like, oh, this just looks so cool. And they even showed the behind the scenes about how they did, they merged animation with live acting. And it was really groundbreaking technology at the time.
Yeah. Very much.
I mean, it's kind of commonplace now, but
you're talking almost 30 years ago, yeah. So.
Yeah. Yes, I mean, when this film came out, I was either
did you
under
exist?
a year
old
or just over a year old.
Okay.
Depending on if it came
So, what
out
were your
before
thoughts at the time?
At the time, my thoughts were probably along the lines of, but that had nothing to do with the film. I think the first time I ever saw this, I was probably about 12 or something. I'm sure it was just shown on TV, and I thought it was fantastic. I mean, I was definitely the right age to see most of this film, and then also because of just the way that I am, I was actually fine with all of the film. Like I've always been very detached from films. I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, I saw this film and it really influenced me." I don't have that. Period.
I'm that way too. In that, like, if I watched something at a certain age, like my brain just like let that completely fly by. Like I didn't see anything, and I go, "Oh, what? That's what sex is?" No, it didn't. Like it didn't register on my consciousness. If I was too young for it.
Yeah, well, I mean...
Yeah, which is my main argument now that to, like, parents, even though I'm not one, that, like, they're going to get the joke or they're not, and you don't have to...
Yeah.
The subtext is going to fly right under.
Yeah, I mean, this film is definitely one of those things where, let's say you're the parent of a 9-year-old, and you're like, should they watch this film? Watch it yourself and make that decision, because...
But see, if I watched it now, I'd be like, I don't know, Like, I feel like even like my friends this was back when I was going to Catholic school too, although my Catholic school friends were more liberal than a lot of my public, or like more, exposed to stuff than a lot of my public school friends actually, when I was older. even the more conservative parents let their kids watch this movie. Because they're going to see it for the funny cartoon aspect. They're not going to read into it in a way that's going to, like, influence them or traumatize them.
Yeah, I think most people, like, younger people watching this, see this entirely as just Eddie and Roger. That's all they see in this film.
Except Christopher Lloyd scared the ever-living fuck out of me.
Yes. Uh-huh.
I covered my eyes well into, like, my mid-20s at Christopher Lloyd in this movie. And I'm still terrified of him in this movie. My God.
He, like, what is it? Doom and... I'm blanking on the character name right now, but the face melty guy from Raiders, like, they got convoluted in my young brain, and I made them like one, and I was terrified of that image.
See, I feel like
I don't know how it came about, but I'm like,
I love the idea of
like I guess part of him melting. Spoilers, sorry, Roger Rabbit spoilers, and then like face melting. Some sort of connection was made.
No, that wasn't the scariest part for me.
No.
I love the idea now of going back and watching Doom and Ark. Sorry, and what happens is the face melting starts, but cartoon eyes just start bugging out.
I'm sorry, when his fake eyeballs popped out and he had these crazy eyes, I mean that was like the scary one. Like that did scar me a little bit. I'll admit that scarred me.
Oh no, yeah, that third act. Yeah, I was definitely not on board for
I would seriously, until I was in early adulthood, I would like either look away or leave the room when that part was on.
I mean, that's again.
He's pretty terrifying. Yeah,
I don't know if it's just the way I am or something, but like that stuff doesn't bother me at all. In fact, I love that they went that way. Even back then.
Oh, I did too. I appreciate it, but it's fucking terrifying.
Yeah. I still have never been scared watching a film. I want to be. Yeah. But it's never.
Oh my gosh, so you're like Louise Belcher.
I guess, yeah.
Like whatever.
I just appreciate. Oh, that's really cool. Like a knife going straight through the eye, like that. You got the blood quite right. That's
You're just analytical, yeah. To that point, I don't know if either of you knew that. As far as Doom being scary, do you know that Tim Curry did not get the role for that very reason? His performance was too terrifying.
Yeah.
Oh my god! I
need to see that performance.
Oh my gosh! I can't even.
Do you think?
Oh, I know.
Do you think
that might have ruined me for Tim Curry forever?
Was he true?
I love him.
Was he coming straight off of it and then going into
what
this?
Year was this? I don't know.
He was just doing Pennywise, the cartoon.
Guys,
no, this was prior to it. It was 1990.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Yeah. Well, maybe he was like, "Oh, too scary for that. I'll find something I can use it in then."
Yeah, but Christopher Lloyd's performance, it was like scared the shit out of me.
And that's why I mentioned earlier. Okay, how do you guys feel about it's Reboot City right now, and it's been almost 30 years. So, how would you feel about a sequel or a reboot to this movie?
Well,
you want to go first?
I actually listened to a podcast called Beyond the Box Set, which actually just sent us something before we started, because I put something out. So they said that they covered this recently. The person running the Twitter said they saw it as a child and loved it, but the co-host saw it for the first time as an adult and found it irritating. So there's that, and I actually put forward an idea for a sequel to this film, which is that Valiant's gone missing, and so Roger has to be the detective, and so he's running around, Toontown and all that, like just trying to find him, finding these little clues and just going down, rabbit hole, but I'm sure trying to find this guy, and then at the very end he still can't find him, so he runs off to find another clue, and the camera zooms in on a note on the table from Valiant to Roger explaining that he's gone on holiday.
Which I love. I love that. Especially, we need some sort of thing that's obviously going to be a tribute to the late, great Bob Hoskins.
Yeah, although, before we go...
The question, Senator, was...
Yes, it seems like Brian is...
I am practicing for town halls. You do not get out.
Yes, go ahead then.
Do you want to see a reboot? Not a sequel.
Or well, no, I said
are you opening it up?
Excuse me, my esteemed colleague. I said a reboot or sequel.
Oh,
she did.
Face.
But I will say I would, given how long it's been, and given advances in technology and also new cartoon characters and stuff like that, I would be willing to entertain a reboot idea as long as it was a reboot, but not the same story. Like,
right.
So different, like maybe the same characters, but it's not Judge Doom, and it's not like Toontown being destroyed. It's some other thing that's going on.
Well, and they have such a larger scope to work with. If I might, I haven't. It's not okay. Never mind. I'll wait for my turn to answer.
No, you're fine. So I guess my answer kind of hinges entirely on how the casting would go.
Yes.
Like, I only want to see if they get the right people in there, and
right.
I'm trying to think. I don't know who those would be.
It has to be.
Oh, I do. You know who inevitably this will largely involve.
Who would that be?
I mean, this movie was a trailblazer for him. It's Seth MacFarlane.
Oh.
And another one, H. John Benjamin, has to be heavily involved.
Bob.
Just doing his Bob
Archer, Bob. Like,
Archer,
there's so much of an expanded universe in terms of like more adult-oriented animation.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be Archer thinking he's Bob in this. Like, he's got.
Oh, I loved that. That was brilliant.
Yeah,
that was brilliant. Look it up, guys.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, the other main hurdle is like the licensing of whatever characters.
I think if we're throwing around the idea of a reboot, let's just assume that the licensing is there.
Okay, because that's never going to happen.
If we can get Sony and Marvel Studios to make nice for the Spider-Man movie, it looks like the Spider-Man movie we all deserve.
Yeah,
that's going to be coming out. I have hope that we're gonna. I know I probably just jinxed it. But I think maybe we might be able to work this out.
Yeah, I mean, I think it could happen, especially since, obviously, with Who Framed Roger Rabbit, there were strict guidelines on how they appeared.
It was like politician-level screen time. Like,
and basically, whenever any Disney character was on screen, the Warner Brothers had to also be on screen.
That's why you see them paired up in the film.
Well, I actually had thoughts about one key scene about that. Okay. No. We'll talk about it.
Okay.
In a bit, but I think that more than ever there is an audience for this movie because I didn't realize how much of a hit this. I mean, it was something we were all talking about. Like this actually remained in the as something that was relevant for a few years afterwards. Because I remember my friends and I making jokes for a few years about this movie, and kids having Roger Rabbit themed stuff for a few years after this movie came out. But I always wondered, was this movie actually kind of a bomb? Like kind of how we thought Hook was an amazing movie, but it turned out it was actually critically panned and everything. No pun intended. But this movie made back over twice its budget.
Made back a bit more than that.
Well, worldwide, yeah.
Yeah, I was very surprised at that, and actually happily surprised at that.
Yeah.
But because I thought, you know what, if this movie bombed, it was a great movie that actually holds up extremely well. But I can understand why it would have bombed because, what audience is this intended for?
Thank you. Yes, that you hit on a question that I asked myself many times.
I was like, I love this movie, but who is it for? But now the landscape of animation has changed to the point where, this movie really was a trailblazer. To show that you can make animation appealing to adults. This was the year before The Simpsons debuted. So, I mean, I think The Simpsons was obviously already in development because it had already been on the Tracy Ullman show. But I think this was encouraging to them to maybe greenlight it. And I think there's such an audience now with Adult Swim and Fox, Son of Zorn notwithstanding, that if you did a reboot or sequel of this, it has the potential to be incredibly successful.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, if it gets in the right hands,
let's see. I've got the list here of all of the people that were also, like, obviously you mentioned Tim Curry was originally up for.
Oh, do you have who was originally wanted for Eddie?
Valiant, and who was also.
Oh, it's so sad who they wanted for Eddie. Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, see if you think if we swapped someone out for this person, if you think it would have done as well. So instead of Bob Hoskins, they were looking into Harrison Ford, who was asking for too much money. Bill Murray.
Yes, that's
who apparently because of his voicemail.
Yeah, he was unreachable from his hotline.
Put him in the reboot.
I kind of did that.
And who had said he definitely would have done it if they had been able to reach him.
Apparently,
he's shown he can do it. He was in Space Jam.
Yeah,
and they're already going to redo Space Jam, so.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll get onto that at a later point in time. Eddie Murphy turned it down.
Yeah.
And then also Chevy Chase, Robert Redford, Jack Nicholson, Sylvester Stallone, Wallace Shawn, Ed Harris, Charles Grodin, and Don Lane.
The one that stands out for me there is Wallace Shawn. I'd like to see that performance.
That would have been cool, but I think he would have been too
Princess Brady
animated.
Oh, okay.
He would have been a good the studio head.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Maroon
Maroon. Yeah. He would have been a great Maroon.
Although I now can no longer see him as anytime I picture Wallace Shawn in something, it's just the inconceivable.
He's just a meme. He's just a meme.
You know what? Okay, and not to bring up a painful subject, but okay, it's the show, not the person. I always loved his character on The Cosby Show. He was the recently divorced dad who was always trying to figure out ways to get back out there. And he had a
really don't remember him at all.
Oh, and he came over with a terrible toupee and was like, "Look I'm gonna get all the ladies now." Isn't it great?
Okay, now I kind of want to rewatch The Cosby Show.
I'll send you my sealed DVDs that my mom bought me right before all this broke. My mom, bless her heart, because I loved The Cosby Show. I would record, I would set the VCR to record while I was at school so I could watch it after I got home. It was my 29th birthday or something. She got me the whole series set on DVD. It wasn't even in production anymore. She had to get it on eBay. And the whole series. I would say all but 2 seasons are still in the cellophane. Because I can't. I can't bring it.
I mean, it's
fair enough.
I can't.
It's a tough.
I took my dad to see him for Father's Day.
Oh my god.
Well, to kind of bring it back to villain, as it were. How about the alternate actors for?
So good at bringing the mood down. What can I say?
How about the alternate actors for Doom, other than Tim Curry, obviously? So that Sting was up for it.
What?
Yeah, apparently. Eddie Deason, Roddy McDowall, John Cleese.
Yes.
And also someone else who would have been fantastic, Christopher Lee.
Yeah.
Could you imagine a gravelly voice?
He would have been way too scary.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think Christopher Lee, and then turning into Christopher Lloyd when he becomes a cartoon.
He would have been way too
Yeah. I mean, that would have scarred me.
I mean, if you needed any more of a tip off that this guy was the bad guy, just Christopher Lee playing him.
Oh yeah, I know who the villain is.
Judge Doom.
I get it.
And that's another reason they need to hurry up and make either a sequel or a reboot. They need to do it with Christopher Lloyd.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it would be Do they ever name the the cartoon? They never find out who he is, so I think it should be that guy's brother, and it's just is Lloyd.
Yeah.
Or they have him like Lloyd is in it, and everyone thinks he's a bad guy, but he actually isn't.
Yeah,
he's the good one.
So what? Instead of like when his eyes pop out, he has like star eyes instead of like the crazy psycho spelling eyes.
Yeah, he actually just has like the puppy dog eyes.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He's just the Snapchat filter.
Yeah. He's actually dopey. He's the dopey dwarf. I mean that could be an interesting villain. It's the dwarves just stacked on top of each other, and they've just had enough.
Right.
Well, I don't know.
Yes,
Steer this somewhere back to. I don't know.
We need to get back to the beginning of this movie because I have something to bring up.
Okay.
So the beginning of this movie is almost kind of like a Pixar short. Mm-hmm. Because it's supposed to be like, it looks like kind of like a Warner Brothers cartoon, and it is a Roger Rabbit and Baby Herman cartoon.
Again, before we get into this, I'm trying not to stand it too much. Have you seen any of the actual shorts that they made?
Yes, I did. I have.
Yeah, because where I work, during the lunchtime for the kids that I'm working with, they have VHSs in the room, and one of them is Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's before Honey, I Shrunk. I knew that.
And it's Tummy Trouble.
Oh, yes.
I have seen Tummy Trouble about 50 times at this point, and it never gets old.
You never get any tummy trouble.
It's crazy that I knew that came before Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
It's not crazy at all.
So this was the thanks.
You're welcome.
So this was basically the precursor to the Pixar shorts before movies.
Yeah,
kind of.
Pretty much. And yeah, it's just so well done. Like, because it's such a great way to set up tunes in the real world, because it's like you're seeing all this, and then they answer the question before you ever ask it, which is, well, if the cartoons are real, how do they make it? Like, how do they make these shorts? And it's like, it's a set. Like, it's all actually recorded.
So eventually Roger Rabbit gets a refrigerator slammed on his head, and he's got little Tweety birds flying around, like starry-eyed Tweety birds going around his head, and they go, cat! And all of a sudden, the baby goes, God damn it, what was wrong with that take? He starts talking like
going all Christian Bale.
Yeah. He starts talking like a good fella, basically.
To be perfectly honest, before I looked it up, I was convinced that the baby was voiced by Danny DeVito.
I mean, they could have just gotten Danny DeVito.
Yeah. Oh God! Hey, the sequel.
There you go. Just Danny DeVito in a carriage.
We're writing this as we're going along.
Hey, lady.
Yeah.
White lady.
But apparently, and then the human director comes up to him and like screams at Roger for getting the line wrong because he's not supposed to have little birdies going around his head. Was it supposed to be stars?
Yeah, it's supposed to be stars.
Okay. And you find out that this baby is like a foul-mouthed, like middle-aged mob boss sounding man. And my question, did Seth MacFarlane kind of sort of rip off this character for Baby Stewie?
That's a good question.
It's actually...
I mean, reverse engineering that, it's hard not to see.
In a sentence, I never thought I'd say, Stewie's kind of a toned-down version.
Yeah.
I mean, he's less of a creep. I'll give you that.
He's a smarter version.
Yeah, but he's a creep. He's as much of a creep. He's just a creep in a different way.
Okay, yeah.
It's like a combination of this character and Hannibal Lecter.
Like a calculating baby woman.
Yeah.
Very methodical. Mm.
Or like a combination of this, Hannibal, and a Bond villain. But I feel like this was like the impetus, like, why don't I make a creepy baby?
Yeah, maybe.
Like, a baby who talks like an adult. Ha, hilarious.
Yeah, I don't know. Should we jump ahead to one of his most problematic lines? Or not?
Oh my
You know what?
god!
Why not? Go ahead.
The one.
Oh, what about the baby penis?
Yeah. So yeah, what does he say? He's like, he's got a 50-year-old lust and a 3-year-old thinking.
Lust and a 3-year-old. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is a movie, Mom. Thanks, Mom, for letting me watch this.
I know. I was like, oh no! I don't think my mom watched this whole thing with me.
And do you know, like, right back to that, like, the short, and then him walking off set, he totally, like, creeps and, like, looks up at that woman's dress.
Oh, yeah, like, they make it seem, like, sort of accidental. He was like, I hate it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He's like a baby Bill O'Reilly.
Do alive!
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, he is. Yeah. He actually kind of looks like Bill O'Reilly.
Yeah, I can see it.
I was considering cutting that out, and now I'm not going to.
No, never.
Yeah, I think we definitely need to go into then the animation mixed with the live action. Done so much better in this film than pretty much any film past it.
Oh my god, it's amazing! Like, why did they go back to this method?
Yeah, even say Monkey Bone,
so
Space Jam, like that's so much worse.
Yeah,
I don't understand how we went back.
Like, okay, I know we talk about a lot of movies that haven't aged well. This one holds up so well. It doesn't feel dated.
I was so interested to see if it would, and I'm like, that was one of the things I was looking for that tune and real live person like interaction, and especially with the physical world objects.
Yeah.
And they went to extensive lengths to make that look great.
Yeah, and I mean, one thing I was really, really happy about when I rewatched this is that it's set in is it the 40s or the 50s? Whichever one.
I think the 40s, late 40s, like post-war.
So we don't have that. Yeah, like we have in some films where we watch now, going back then, we don't have that technology that was new and bright, like computers. Oh, we must have fancy computers on here. Like, we're not even dealing with that sort of stuff. It is just the humans.
But there is a theme of like automation and technology in this movie.
Yep, and
this movie's low key brilliant.
Yeah.
I was so utterly pleased with I was thinking, it's not going to be as good. It'll be all right, and I was a dumb kid, but no, I was so happy with it.
Yeah, really well done, and so many ways of getting things across technically in a clean way that once you're old enough to understand is actually brilliantly done. And for instance, the whole patty cake.
Oh my god!
The whole patty cake thing.
Oh my god!
And such a great misdirect.
Seriously, and like the analogy of sex.
Yeah.
Did you guys ever watch Rocko's Modern Life? That was on Nickelodeon.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, remember the toads that lived next door?
Yes.
They were the horniest people you'd ever seen in your life, and they would have like role play in the bedroom, and it was like. So inappropriate, but it wasn't technically sex, and that was kind of like this with the patty cake.
Yeah, well, and of course, even just Rocco, he worked as a phone sex operator.
Yeah,
like that was his job. They just never said that.
Yeah, and by the way, I found I just while we were talking because I had to, I found the behind the scenes documentary of Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Oh.
That and that especially with the technology that shows you how they did the Toon live action stuff. So I will send that to you guys.
Oh. Okay.
Awesome.
Because and it's totally worth watching. Anybody who that's what made me want to watch the movie so much because it looks so fascinating about how they made it.
I read some of the things about it, like the music, puppeteering, and then other just machinery and other kind of just physical props and then just animating over like the penguins holding the trays in the club.
Yeah, I mean it's just there's so many things in this film where let's take Space Jam as an example. So someone is either interacting with this character or whatever, and it's very clear that they're like, okay, I'm holding my hand in this exact position, and then I've got to move this something that isn't actually here and pop it over here. And what you're seeing is just, okay, this is roughly what it's going to be, and then we'll draw it in later. Whereas in this, it genuinely looked like they are physically handling cartoon objects / characters. And
yeah, like when he picks up the
and
gun.
And it shows like the mechanical effects people. I mean, this was like what you're seeing right now. This is the precursor to like the Green Man bodysuits with the ping pong balls. And it's fascinating to see, like, maybe they should like incorporate, it's almost like practical effects CGI.
Yeah. And please tell me in the documentary, I'd read this before, I'm glad I just saw it again while we were doing this. Please tell me that they show Charles Fleischer on set in that documentary, because
he was dressed.
He insisted on wearing a Roger Rabbit costume while on set.
Oh, I don't know if they did. I honestly don't know, because I had to rewatch the whole thing. It's like over a half an hour long.
Yeah, and it's just that amount of detail.
No, you could see like the devotion that was put into this project. And it really should be celebrated more than it is, because that's the thing. I wasn't even sure if it was a success. Like, as much as I loved it, I wasn't even sure if it was completely, like, financially successful. It's really, like, a crime how underrated this movie is. Like, James Cameron, maybe study this movie before you make your Avatar sequels.
I have gone on record as saying that I see Avatar as a tech demo. So they didn't care too much about the actual plot.
It's a display of what the technology can do.
Yeah,
oh my god,
you just created this. Look at it.
Well, that's the thing. I didn't watch 3D movies for a while after I saw Avatar, because I got such a massive head. I got like almost a migraine level headache after about a half an hour after I got out of that movie.
Oh, really?
Because of it. It was like an onslaught.
Yeah.
Well,
it wasn't nuanced
enough. Maybe there was an unobtainium deposit in the theater that was bothering, interfering.
I think Brian's a bit annoyed about Avatar.
Oh no!
I let out a literal "fuck you" when they said unobtainium. I was like, no,
that movie does not hold up. You want to talk? Yeah, let's have another podcast about Avatar.
Please, yeah.
I don't think it will be quite as good as this one.
Well,
but I still want to do it. Like, it'll be great.
Like Sam Worthington, how about Sam Nothington? Because he's done nothing significant after Avatar.
Well, no, I'm not.
Sorry, I'm just keeping it real.
I was going to say a joke, but it's just a sad joke, so I'm not even going to fucking say it. Didn't quite work. We basically said nothing about this film.
Well, I mean, I don't feel like... Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, I know we've got so many things.
We don't need to really like lay out plot or anything. Like, people have seen this movie or they haven't.
Yeah, I mean...
But basically, like, somebody's been killed. They have to figure out who it is. They think it's Roger Rabbit.
Yep, pretty much. Yeah,
there you go.
They think...
Well, and, Bob Hoskins plays an alcoholic private eye who is absolutely against working with toons, and you don't know why. And it turns out his brother, who was his partner, was killed by a toon. So he is like a toon bigot.
Yes, and the most
prejudice allegory. Yes.
Oh, you want to talk about bigotry? Like the ape who was or gorilla who was the bouncer at the club. That was a little bit problematic.
Yeah, did you notice like only the like toons could work or perform in the club? They couldn't be customers, which is a direct tie to segregation.
Yeah.
And speakeasies and stuff like that. Yeah, and jazz clubs. Yeah. And that actually, I wanted to get into that part where finally Valiant agrees to take on the case, and he goes to the club, and it is Donald Duck and Daffy Duck reenacting the legendary Bugs Bunny Daffy Duck piano duel. And
are you going to mention the possible controversy around what he might possibly have said in that scene?
Well, which part?
Well, I have to tiptoe around this bit. There is a point in that scene where, and I believe it's Donald Duck, because he's the one that basically goes... he says something, and a lot of people were firmly of the opinion that he utters a word which is derogatory toward black people.
What?
Yep.
Is there anything to this, or is this like
that.
Nope.
Okay?
Nope. Like he doesn't say it at all.
This isn't like Little Mermaid boner, or
No, it's basically one of
Or
those
the
where he
Aladdin,
says something
like, yeah.
quickly.
yeah.
He says something quickly in an almost impossible to understand voice, and people.
So racists heard what they wanted to hear.
People heard what they wanted to hear. So
Yeah.
so
Well,
yeah.
here's what I mean. That's interesting because I feel like Donald Duck looks like Donald Duck from the cartoons.
Yep.
Whereas Daffy looks a little off. He
A bit
doesn't.
Daffy.
No, he looks
Sorry.
like it looks like he wasn't drawn by Warner Brothers animators, or it was like some sort of mashup of the older version of Daffy Duck. You got the modern version of Donald Duck, but the older version of Daffy Duck.
I feel like what they might have done there is because like Donald kind of acts a certain way and has like a real solidity to him, whereas Daffy Duck very much doesn't have that in the old cartoon. So I think they were trying to adapt to make him a little more like Donald Duck, and maybe it just didn't work in that scene.
Well, but I don't understand why they wouldn't have gone with the most recent version of Daffy, because that's the most recognizable version of him. And I just thought that was odd. Like he looked like, you know how like North Korea would have like Disney characters and their like Kim Jong-il like parades. They were like the demented generic versions. That's kind of like what Daffy Duck looked like.
Like Morty Mouse, or
yeah. Like Doofy Duck.
yeah.
But again, slight tangent. Have you heard? I think it's World of Gumball. Have you heard? Like the Chinese have literally taken shot for shot that show and done it like with a slightly different cartoon style, changed the names, kept all the plot, and like that's a show over there. And they did a when the producers of the show found that out. They did an episode where these people found out that was happening and went there and basically beat them all up. Like that was that episode.
Okay.
Yeah, it was kind of
Good
weird.
song.
Yeah. I would have mentioned Betty Boop if I could, because
Yes, I wanted.
that
to
was a
mention
great
it. Go ahead.
cameo. Yeah. So I love that they were able to get the original voice for Betty Boop. I'm gonna correct me on the last name if you know it, but Mae Questel. Questel? Okay. But yeah, so she's the original voice from Betty Boop. She voiced it from 1930 to 1939. Then she was Olive Oyl for many
Of course.
years. So I don't know. I just love that they were just got her in there on that.
Well, and also, yeah, it talked about how she was black and white.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And
But
she
she
was a
still got it.
cigarette. Yeah, she was a cigarette girl. No, yeah, but she don't still got it because she was a cigarette girl, and she was down on her luck. And and Valiant was like, "Why are you doing in here?" She's like, "No work since cartoons came color." And she did not know that in a few years' time she would be in tons of airbrush T-shirts and regrettable tattoos. So, but it showed her as like the tragic downfall of a no longer relevant icon.
Yeah.
So.
Also, yeah, you've got the transition from black and white to color. It's also, the same thing happened when silenced speakies, talkies, and all that.
Well, and they had. Did you see when they were walking through the studio earlier? They had they showed the different cartoon characters. They showed like Clarabelle the cow in all her different iterations throughout the years, like from like her black and white days to her more modern look. And it had in the background it said cattle call.
I missed that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not as
I know.
eagle-eyed.
I noticed that. I was like, clever.
Yeah.
See, this movie is unexpectedly deep.
It really is.
They fully fleshed out the universe, which is something that not a lot of films have been doing from time to
There's
time.
really good world building in this. Really
Exactly. I feel like this movie would have spawned a franchise if it had been released like 15 years later. 15, 20 years later.
Yeah, like a sequel would be automatic. Yeah.
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 Well, and warranted
Mm-hmm.
too. Well, sequels are automatic. They're even talking about Baywatch getting a sequel, even though apparently it's hot garbage.
Oh, I still want to really watch it.
Oh, I do too, but I've heard it's hot
I
garbage.
get the feeling that The Rock and Efron together are probably fun to watch the chemistry, but yeah, I'm sure the film itself is shit. Like,
Yeah.
I have no doubt there.
Mhm.
Now, well, speaking of like marketability, franchise, and all that, how about we get on to Jessica Rabbit?
Jessica Rabbit.
Oh, uncredited.
Uncredited. Yes.
That is another reason we need a sequel reboot.
Oh, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, and
Voiced by,
Oh, I think we should let the guest reveal.
Yes,
Go ahead,
I know.
Colleen.
well, considering I have had an interaction with her.
Oh,
Yeah. Kathleen Turner, who
yeah.
was considered like the sexiest. So, but she has such an iconic voice.
It's, fantastic.
yeah.
Obviously, her singing voice was not Kathleen Turner's voice, but her talking voice is good. And she had the body of an Instagram model. She had kind of like a Veronica Lake meets Anna Nicole Smith type look.
I think you basically nailed that there.
And is shockingly the wife of Roger Rabbit.
Yeah, shockingly when you hear it.
Yeah.
And then, like, just through, like, interactions with the two of them together or talking to both of them about each other, you really come to realize, oh, yeah, I get it. Like, especially,
They probably do. Yeah, they probably do it like rabbits.
Yeah. And
Patty cake, that is.
Yes. Just that wonderful line where it's just, what do you see him in anyway? He makes me laugh.
Yeah. That's it. All you can hope for is a rabbit with a sense of humor. Right? Yeah.
Can I just tell you, Kathleen Turner is like amazing. Like, I just need to tell you.
What was the interaction?
When I was a makeup artist in Chicago at Neiman Marcus on Michigan Avenue, and she was actually coming for an after hours dinner benefit for Planned Parenthood on the top floor in a restaurant. And I didn't know that. I think a couple of people who have worked there longer knew of it through the grapevine. But there was a lady who was like, she was like one of my coworkers. She was awesome, but she was probably in about her 60s, and she was standing with me in like the entryway of the department, and we were kind of chatting. It was toward closing time, and she looked up and she was like, that looks like Kathleen Turner. And I was like, huh. And then we were like, oh, that is Kathleen Turner. And and then I was just about to, I was going to like, put my, like, be respectful, like not make eye contact. And, this woman I worked with, she was awesome. She was like a dame. She didn't care. She was like, I was just saying, that looked like Kathleen Turner. And she goes, well, there's a good reason for that.
Oh my God.
I was like, that was Kathleen Turner, and she's awesome.
Oh,
So
cool.
yeah, that was like epic Kathleen Turner. So
Major
yeah, that's my
That's-
little interaction.
That's awesome.
I feel like I don't know if there's anyone else that really could have pulled it off quite the same way.
Yeah, like thinking of the time there, like I don't know. Yeah, I got nothing there.
Yeah.
Like, there was I don't know why she hasn't done more voice acting, because she was so good in this.
Well, I know that she was uncredited because she didn't think that it would be a good idea, like in her career, to be known as someone that had done voice work.
Like a cartoon, yeah.
Yeah,
But it was epic. It was iconic.
It was, but I think that maybe now, or like in more recent times, probably would be, yeah, put my name on that. But
Yeah.
back then, it wasn't seen as something that you do if you are still,
Relevant.
being
It was a Colt 45 commercial.
Yes.
Yeah.
Leave Billy D alone.
I love Billy D. Okay, I'm not. Yeah, and Colt 45. No, just Billy D. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I don't have anyone else that could have done better than her. But yeah, what was that? I'm not bad. I'm just drawn that way. It's like
That way
on multiple lists for like best, like top 100 film lines of all time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of the, again, done in an absolutely clean way,
Mm-hmm.
but it is drawing attention to her assets, shall we say. It's like,
Assets
Yes.
and
Yes,
other
yes.
stuff.
I know. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, why did my mom let me watch this?
Yeah, like there was a lot. Yeah, especially like what was it when Valiant's like bending over to pick something up and he like bumps his head on the bottom of her boobs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, whoa. Like, okay.
Well,
yeah.
and
This is PG. Yeah, PG, but still.
do we need to mention the VHS release?
Oh,
of
the
this
controversy VHS. Yeah.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
The, what is it, 3 frames, I believe?
Hey,
Oh,
I
I
don't know,
forgot
weirdo. I'm just, yeah.
No,
I'm just kidding.
I haven't seen it myself, but I've heard from numerous people. I've seen the trivia on either Wikipedia or whatever. It's like the people behind it were just like, yeah, fuck it. Just draw in the scene when she's thrown from the car and she spins around.
She has her basic instinct moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, not quite as bad as the Rescuers, but still. And I'm not even going to say what the Rescuers one is.
No,
you people have the internet.
Okay, so some of us still want to like preserve like little nuggets of our childhood.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wait, side tangent. Both the Rescuers and the Rescuers Down Under, fantastic films.
Oh my god, they were like some of my favorites. Still are. Love them.
So long since
every
I've
now and
seen
again,
those.
I still
Yeah.
get the. Did you know there was a razorback in my truck? Did you? There's a razorback in my truck. Just pops in my head. No reason.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah, I love that movie.
It's been
Loved it.
so
Both of them.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
One of my favorite villains, actually, of all time, is that guy,
Oh,
the evil crocodile hunter, basically.
well, you mean the redhead?
I mean, in the second one, actually. Yeah.
Oh,
the
that's right,
redheaded,
that's right.
I got very Cruella de Vil vibes off of her, but
Yeah,
just
with the shotgun. She was like a redneck Cruella with the shotgun. And she kind of like draws to mind somebody that we see later on in this movie.
Yeah. Well, okay. So we talked about how there's interaction between the live action actors, and then you've got the cartoon props, cartoon characters. How about when Valiant goes to Toontown? Does it still hold up? Because I would say yes. That still holds up too. How?
Yes. So apparently, there's a wall in between real, like human world and Toontown.
Yeah,
It's a great wall. It's the best wall.
Yeah.
Toons are gonna pay for it.
The irony is the bad guy wants to break down the wall.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Oh, by the way, can we talk
specifically
about
Speedy
like?
Gonzalez.
Yes. Speedy Gonzalez is building that wall, damn it.
Yeah. Can we talk about so let's get to the entrance of the villain who we have spoken of before, Judge Doom. Christopher Lloyd, who looks like something in between like Kevin Costner in The Untouchables and like the worst Nazi you've ever seen.
Yeah, and he seemed like giant, at least to my child eyes.
God,
yeah.
yeah.
He seemed like he was like 8 feet tall.
Well, yeah. I mean, Christopher Lloyd is tall anyway.
He is,
and,
but yeah.
And those glasses, he had on these glasses that were kind of reflective but not. They looked like. I think that's why I always thought those smart shade glasses, whatever that change in the sun.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
That makes
transitions.
why I always thought those were creepy because they reminded me of his.
I still, I don't know if you'd heard about this. Like, he did so much stuff on set just to like keep the character going and to really sell it. Like, he attempted to blink as little as humanly possible.
Yeah. If you look close, he does not blink.
Yes,
his
nightmare
close-up.
fuel.
Yeah.
Nightmare fuel.
Yeah, I think I'm just realizing he was my Slender Man.
He was the inspiration for Slenderman, probably. Like, okay, I'm sorry. You want to talk about what ages well? This villain is still scary as shit. And so basically, he's like the Gestapo. For some reason, they have a Gestapo in LA against cartoons. Like, that's never explained why they feel the need to have like a hit squad against cartoons.
I think the general idea is kind of like when it came to the history of black people, there was no law against like people dealing with cartoons. Like that,
right?
It wasn't illegal, and so this guy just went around doing stuff to cartoons, and obviously the dip.
Oh, like, okay, so the dip is
when
like
I dip, you dip, we dip.
That would have ended the film right there.
So they have, it's like a turpentine acetone something mixture, and it's the only thing that destroys animation.
Yep, the animation cells.
Yeah. So, I will say, my God, this was even worse watching it now than it was when I was a kid. Like, okay, they have this adorable little squeaky
shoe.
Yes.
Shoe. This innocent little squeaky shoe.
He's so cute.
Yeah, even worse than the fate of Auntie and Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. This thing,
it's like the most, like, seriously, the most adorable. You want a stuffed animal of this cartoon. It's so adorable, and he takes it. It's like just squeaky. It's like squeaks like a dog.
Shaking consistently.
Yes, and he puts his glove on, which, like, you don't question anything because you think, oh, it's acid. Of course, you're going to put a glove on. Yeah. And he dips it in the dip and basically executes it for no reason.
Yeah, I wrote down shoe murder. Yeah.
For no reason.
And sorry, spoilers here, but go ahead.
You hear it dying. Dying. Oh my God.
Oh yeah, I definitely had shades of 10 Cloverfield.
No. So this turns into like a Toon Holocaust film.
Yeah. There's a lot of Toon murder.
I say it's kind of the end of the Boy in Striped Pajamas type thing.
Yeah. Oh my God. Do you know that at the middle school I taught at, they showed that to 6th graders?
Oh.
I
obviously voiced my objections, but
I mean, maybe another year or two for that one.
Yeah. I mean,
the Holocaust Center, the education director for the Holocaust Center. Like, my mom had an email relationship with that person, and they said, 7th grade at the absolute earliest to even teach about the Holocaust, let alone that movie.
I was going to say, surely Schindler's List, then Boy
Right.
Work them up, yeah. Uh-huh.
Because I actually went out of my way to find a documentary that was actually free, and it didn't, she spoke about how bad it was, and as much as a horrible, horrible suffering Holocaust story can have a happy ending, this one had a happy ending. So, I was like, why don't we show them this? Might be a lot better.
Yeah, at least it has the kids going home not wanting to kill themselves. Yeah,
exactly. Or going, well, or you're almost desensitized when you're that young.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, this was traumatic. Seeing basically a chew toy being murdered.
Yeah. It was like a little puppy, just an innocent little thing. Yeah.
Yep.
And bloop, dead.
Just yep, you're gone.
I'm sure that's had some effect on my personality. Wouldn't have seen that when I was 8.
Yeah. So then Bob Hoskins basically puts Roger Rabbit into Anne Frank mode, trying to hide him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know if either of you have a note or something about this, but given obviously now we've already said spoilers and all that, what we know about Judge Doom, how is he not affected by shaving a haircut? Is it because he's doing it?
Yeah, or is it? But it must be a certain class of tune because
he
the weasels
no
the weasels aren't.
Do it.
The weasels. Oh yeah, his goon squad, by the way, is a bunch of weasels, literally.
Because why not?
Yeah, and they're originally supposed to be 7 to mirror the dwarves.
I'm sure they probably had to be talked off of that by Disney.
Yeah, and just a real quick a few to the 1989 NES game. Those weasels were bullshit.
Any NES adaptation, almost any NES adaptation of movies in the late 80s, early 90s was bullshit.
That game is so frustratingly difficult.
Billy's Head's Excellent Adventure.
It's not like Lion King levels difficult, but it's up there. It's, oh my god. Yeah.
I looked it up.
I'm sorry, the best NES game from that era was DuckTales.
Yes. Or Chip and Dale's Rescue Rangers.
Mm-hmm.
Can't say I played that.
That one I could do a speed run and beat that in under about half an hour. Not to brag, but
it was bragging.
Sorry, ladies, half an hour.
He's basically doing the JD from Scrubs face right now. I didn't even know that there was a video game of this thing. There were 3 video games that came out of this. All of them on different platforms and all of them different. Like there was no one game.
Yeah.
This thing.
But it was fun. You got to drive around in Benny in the NES. So that was fun.
Oh, yeah.
But then you'd get chased and then you'd get caught immediately.
I forgot. Yeah, we've got Benny, the animated cat who talks back to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you'd be on board with self-driving cars if they would talk to you like Benny.
Absolutely, yeah. I'd take Benny over a Lyft driver.
I would take Benny over any of the Cars movies.
Oh, yeah. Especially this, Cars 3 coming.
Well, I know you can get, GPS voices. You can, people have recorded stuff like that. And I really want to download, not that I need to use it, but I really want to, you can get a Daria GPS. I would love that.
That would be amazing.
Really? Oh, I want it. I want that.
For a second, I was a little worried you were going to say, really? As in, that exists? Really?
Really?
But no, okay.
That's a thing. Sorry to disappoint you there, yeah.
But okay, where are we at now?
I don't know.
Kind of all over the place. But did you want to say something about when they were in Toontown? It seemed like you had something.
I did, but who the hell knows what the hell that was? It's been so long ago.
Oh, you know what? Oh, no, the thing is, the entrance to Toontown was like an acid trip. It didn't reflect the true nature of the tunes.
No,
it seemed happy, joy.
That was one section of Toontown. It definitely felt like the south section of Toontown.
Was that the gated community of Toontown?
Yes.
Yes, and we also saw the ghetto community as well. And when he went chasing after.
Sorry.
Oh, can we talk about the traumatic sexual harassment in that area of town?
Oh, please go right ahead.
Okay, so there is he goes into an apartment building. Is he chasing Roger?
He's trying to find Jessica.
Oh, that's right.
He's following someone that looks like Jessica.
Jessica. Oh, that was after R.K. Maroon is shot.
Yes.
And his and they uncover. He gives him a piece of paper that has something written on it.
Well, Roger writes a love letter to.
Oh, dear Jessica, how do I love thee?
Yeah, let me count the ways.
Yeah, and he's like, "Is this a joke?" And then, I'm sorry, this shot was so creepy and so well done. There is a long scope rifle that peeks in through the blinds to shoot R.K. Maroon. That was creepy as hell to me.
Yeah.
And
once again, kids movie.
Yeah, and also
Apparently.
No, see, this is the
Later-
thing. Who is this movie for?
I know.
And-
I'm like, straight up murder. Not even toon murder. Murder.
And later in the film, when you see the weasels holding guns, and they are, well, the end of the guns are identical to the barrel that stick through the window, but you're not paying attention to that. You're paying attention to the weasels. So like, it's really well done. That if you actually are paying attention to everything, you can figure it out. Like,
It's
well
a really
before they
good-
get to it.
What we're saying is, guys, it's a really good adult rewatch.
Yeah. And it's a surprisingly good noir film.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that when I started rewatching it. It was like, this is a
Yeah, it
noir.
holds up in that genre as well.
No, it was kind of like the Cornetto trilogy. Like how those movies were great comedic ventures, but also they succeeded in the genre they were kind of parodying.
Yeah, definitely.
That is an excellent point. Yeah.
So Eddie's looking for Jessica. He gets into an apartment building that he saw Jessica enter, and he opens a door.
And it is Lena. Okay, her name's Lena Hyena, and she's got like obviously like she turned like from behind. She looks awesome, but she turns around and she's like this demented looking like something from The Hills Have Eyes. And she's like, "Oh man!"
Yes,
And she's like sex crazed and like chasing after him, and so she's trying to basically rape him.
Yep, kind of.
Yeah.
But it's hilarious.
Yeah, guys, it's
promise,
hilarious.
Yeah, and then like even though Valiant should know better, it also then leads up to his interaction with Bugs and Mickey, asking for a spare.
Yeah.
It's like it's definitely just one of those things where again, I think that like when he's falling through the air, that is the worst of all of the imposing
Cameos?
into the animation. I mean,
Oh,
yeah,
well,
of the
also
cameos as well. It's
The
not
cameos were that was a shoehorned cheap cameo. Like that was one where like both of the studio executives like
you gotta put this in there.
negotiated to death over what they would accept in this movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they had to get Mickey and Bugs on screen, like, by themselves. And there was no other point in the film where that's the case, because they're there in the group shot at the end, but they're not anywhere else, so they very much were like, where the hell are we going to put these guys? I know. Here we go.
Yeah, and when has Mickey ever done that in a cartoon? Like, Bugs did all that a lot, but Mickey never, like, they were trying to make Mickey like Bugs, and
Well,
God, I'm a dork.
I mean, to be fair, Mickey isn't the one that handed over. I think Mickey knows what Bugs is going to do, but he's not complacent in it. Like, I think he does say, like, you know, that was mean or something, whatever it is. I'm not even going to bother with the voice. I can't do it.
Oh, come on.
But it was just like, that was such a throwaway cameo for both those characters. It was like, it would have been fine just to not have them in there.
Yeah, it was definitely just, here we go. Yeah.
And then, like, after that, brilliant using toon logic. Like, in a quick print, turning the middle of the road line into a brick wall to get away.
Yeah.
Like,
Using a little Roadrunner throwback.
Alright, I know you know what to say.
Yeah, I don't know really where else to go other than...
We got to go to the most terrifying part of the movie.
Oh, yeah.
So,
trying to avoid it.
So they get captured eventually. Like, Jessica and Eddie get captured.
No, Jessica and Roger get captured.
But I thought...
Eddie
Oh,
comes
that's
to
right.
rescue
Oh, and Eddie's
Yeah, they're
there.
on the tied up and
And then Eddie comes in, and so apparently the weasels made some comment before about not laughing too much because you could die laughing.
Yeah, it's Doom that says it, because I think he says it in the bar at one point, because he just tells them to stop laughing, and then...
Well, and one of the weasels said it to the other one.
Well, no, he says it again in the factory. Like, because he just yells at them, like, you idiots, you'll die laughing one of these days.
So basically they're in the Acme joke factory.
Which,
Doom,
fantastic.
Doom.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, I know, I loved it. And Doom has Jessica and Roger tied up like to a chain hook, ready to go in the dip, or be sprayed with dip.
Yeah,
like,
I don't think
basically just be slaughtered.
Yeah.
So then Valiant comes in and figures out he can use the props to do some weird like vaudeville-ish tune. To make the weasels laugh until they all die laughing. And then we get the typical cartoon thing where, like, they die. They either do something to each other or they actually die laughing, and you see the little cartoon angels, like, flying up.
Yeah, so the question is, are they actually dead or are they now just cartoon ghosts?
Well,
great question.
I think one of them actually does something to make the machine come closer.
Yeah, the last one flicks a switch, which basically turns the parking brake off.
Yeah. Oh, and then the steamroller comes, and it comes toward Judge Doom, and it starts rolling him over, which I don't... he gets his feet stuck in, like, tar or something.
Yeah,
a barrel.
His hand and his feet as he's trying to get to Valiant.
Like
he's holding up
crazy
that
glue
glue.
or tar or something.
Yeah. So yeah, his heel's like stuck in that. Yeah.
Yeah. And then so it's like rolling over him and he's screaming, going, ah, ah. So you're basically seeing somebody being steamrolled in slow motion. Hey, kids movie.
Nightmare fuel for sure.
So, and
they're like, okay, I think it's going to be okay. Oh, wait, you see Judge Doom get up like a life-size nightmare shrinky-dink.
For sure.
Like, flattened, like walking around, and it is Slenderman. It is. It looks like Slenderman. It's
sheer craziness.
It's terrifying. And he goes over to like an air pump, a tire pump, and like inflates himself again. And you see two eyeballs pop out on the ground. Then he turns around and he's got the most terrifying fucking animation eyes I've ever seen in my entire life. Coming out, human Christopher Lloyd has the most terrifying eyeballs I've ever seen. And he's like, remember me, Eddie? When I killed your brother?
Yeah.
I sounded just like this!
Yeah, the shriek.
So it turns out Judge Doom is a toon, a psychotic toon, who killed Valiant's brother. So...
Yeah.
So yay! This is a fun, and this is the part that like that whole sequence, like from after the steamroller to I killed your brother, I look just like this, and then they fight each other like the demented toon, and it's still Christopher Lloyd and his like just with like CGI'd. Like crazy toon eyes, and he's like, and they're fighting each other with these cartoon weapons.
And his eyes come out like daggers, looking at.
Oh my god!
It's a great bit of wordplay, actually. Visual wordplay.
His eyes like are literally his strongest weapon.
Utterly terrible. Yeah, it's probably the reason why it's been so many years since I've waited to rewatch it. I'm like, part of me is like, I'm not looking forward to this scene.
Yeah, if you like horror movies, you'll love the sequence.
Amen.
And how does he end up like? And eventually, Eddie ends up like.
Well, what happens is that Eddie's stuck. I think he's stuck by a magnet to a barrel, and Doom sends a steamroller towards him. But what he does is he grabs the hammer from the beginning of the film, which has. Fist on
the boxing glove in it.
Yeah, so he uses that to turn the valve to spray Doom with the dip. Well, basically to empty the dip. Which, even though, obviously, dip kills cartoons and you don't need much of it, I don't think that was enough dip to, like, demolish Toontown. We never see the full scope.
And I also have a little bit of issue with the dip cleanup. Like...
Right?
Very hastily done by Rod.
My question behind that was just like, why were there fire hydrants inside a factory?
It's Acme, you know.
I know. It makes no sense at all. Basically, like, yay, everybody. And then we find out that like after so Judge Doom melts like the Wicked Witch of the West.
Which I was waiting for, and I'm melting, but it's not in there. I listened very hard.
Like, the way he melts is like not like a tune. It's almost like he was a tune human hybrid, and he had, and it shows that he was wearing a mask.
Shell. He was.
So why didn't he take the mask off after he was flattened?
Well, it's because he was. The way I saw it, it was basically as if he was in a human zip-up suit type thing. So I don't know if it was.
Oh, like Men in Black.
Kinda, yeah. So I don't think he could have easily taken. I mean,
yeah.
Again, we're just kind of spitballing.
I could have sworn. Doesn't he say I'm melting?
No, that's the thing. I think
I wrote it down. Like, did I not?
I don't know. I need to rewatch that scene because he seems to be screaming and gurgling a lot.
He basically is just like screaming, going just.
Yeah,
I wrote it in quotes, so
horrific.
I'm like, okay, I'm happy. I mean, if I'm wrong, who cares? But I'm wrong. But I could have sworn he said that.
I know.
I
thought he did as well. And then when I rewatched it, I was like, I rewound it. I had headphones. I was straining as hard as I could, and I just couldn't hear it.
And I might have to pull that up in a second.
Maybe he initially did, and then Warner Brothers was like, no.
Or he could have said, "Great Scott."
Yeah.
If you listen
Great
closely.
Scott, I feel like
but if we never know what he actually looked like as a tune, I mean,
yeah.
He could end up resurging in the
reboot sequel.
I know they even have it's like Mickey and someone else. I don't think it bugs that it's answered, but they hear you saying like, "Does anyone know what he looked like?"
Yeah.
Nope.
Like, woohoo! I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then I'm sorry, but that Mickey voice was the worst. They got their 4-string Mickey person to come in.
Yeah, it was definitely the understudy of the understudy of the understudy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was the dinner theater version of Mickey.
Yeah, pretty much what I just did, but slightly better.
And it wasn't yet the Billy West bugs, so it was one of the original guys.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so we have all the tunes coming around at the end, which I know there's people have pointed out, or did you notice, a lot of those characters are after 1947.
Yeah,
but
it was just like,
I don't know who
hey,
cares
it's
about
the
that.
end.
And can we point out what Judge Doom's big evil plan was? It was to build highways.
Infrastructure.
Yes,
his evil plan.
Infrastructure was his motive.
Yeah, wasn't it like a 16-lane highway or something?
Yeah. Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah, it really is the most boring of motivations, but
they make it so interesting.
And also, and again, it's something that is built in. He buys out the cable car company.
Well, which is a real thing that happened to public transit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Privatizing
infrastructure.
Yeah.
And then,
see, folks, it's a fun adult watch.
And then, of course, the most dubious of MacGuffins actually in the film, because Eddie is sprayed with the invisible ink on his shirt, and then it goes away, and then it comes back just at the end here, which means that Acme must have written his will about 2 minutes after that happened. While Jessica was on stage, he was frantically writing that will for it to come back at that point in time.
Rewriting his will is his idea of foreplay.
First he gets the penmanship down, and then patty cake.
It's patty cake time. Yep. Oh, but I have a headache.
So basically, he gets the will out, and he's like, "Hey, Roger, read this," and he's like, "Dear Jessica, how do I love you?" And then he starts, and then it transitions into his the will that grants Toontown to the Toons.
Yep.
So
although it's clearly not signed by a judge or anything. Like, it is just a piece of paper with words written on it, and that's it.
Are we gonna see a Law and Order episode ripped from the headlines? Toontown.
Dum dum.
Yes, I think so.
And
Like Judge Storm. I'll see you. Judge Doom just tweeted. I'll see you in court.
Yes. While in court.
Yeah, they're up for forgery and malicious tune slaughter.
And yes, shoe murder. Yes.
And yeah,
also, Sean Spicer should be charged for shoe murder, but
well,
God.
But which one?
Yes, double. I think that's a double homicide because there's two brother shoes that are not invited to the party. Yeah.
No. Spicer will just be like, he killed his brother. He killed my shoe's brother.
Oh my lord. Okay.
Melissa McCarthy is the judge.
Well, I think, are we tuned out? I don't know.
I think so.
I think our audience might be tuned out.
I'm letting that one go.
Tuned out, huh?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well.
All right. Well, that is Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Yeah, thank you, Kelly, for the awesome...
no, thank you guys for inviting me to talk about this and remind me that how much I adore this movie and how much it holds up, and that I am grateful that my mother let me watch this when I probably shouldn't have.
Yes, shout outs to our moms there for letting us watch this.
Yeah.
One of the few videos I had. Yeah.
And such a shame about Hoskins.
Oh, I know. And
Yeah.
So that's another requirement for the reboot. They need to honor his legacy properly.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah. Somehow, maybe. What if they had Smee from Peter Pan come in, like, and be a client or something, like some sort of connection?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's all, folks.
Which I did.
No, you know what? You know what? Sean Spicer is Porky Pig.
Oh yes, he is.
Yeah, I did.
Perfect.
I did want to. It was a big crowd, folks.
I did want to ask.
Next question.
I don't know if anybody knows, but like the date that this film was set in, had Porky Pig said "That's all, folks" before that, like in our timeline? Had he ever said that before that, or was it like?
We got to get the Back to the Future chalkboard out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he did that pre-war.
Okay, all right. So because it's clear in the film, he's very much like, "Hey, I like that." What do I mean?
Oh yeah. Oh, that's a good point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was wondering about that because they're like, they're trying to establish the origin. Yeah.
I mean, whatever. It's a noir film.
We might be looking too deep into Frank Patrick.
Yeah, I know. Is it like a Looney Tunes universe prequel?
Yes. And hell, in that universe, yes, that's where he first found it. There we go.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well.
Yeah, I think we need to pause it right there. Call it a day.
I think so. Yeah,
Okay.
and we'll definitely, obviously, have you back because you're fantastic every time on.
Oh, thank it. No, I'm sorry. I take so much of your time, guys.
It's fine. Yeah, to be perfectly honest, today may be the only day for a long time where I actually have the time to be able to sit down.
Awesome.
So.
Okay, guys, I hate to cut it short, but since it's been so long, I have to pee.
Okay, well,
that is fine.
I'm so sorry.
Do what you got to do.
Yeah, thank you so much. I had so much fun talking about this. It's a nice palette, it's a nice pep talk before Catwoman.
Yeah, that's fine. And just so you know, I'm probably leaving all this in. So
okay. Maybe the cutoff part where she said yes.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you. And I officially approve the reboot sequel as long as we get to be consultants on it.
Yes.
Agreed.
Okay.
Right.
Talk to you. Bye.
And that's going to be it from us as well. So thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you guys again next time.